Hello, you dirty no-good stealers of my heart. Jim Sterling here, and this is Dynasty Warriors God Seekers, which should be called Dynasty Tactics, but I think they've called it Dynasty Warriors God Seekers to make people think it's a Dynasty Warriors game, and therefore sell a couple of copies. It is, by and large, Dynasty Tactics, which is a sub-series of the Dynasty Warriors games. It spun off in the PS2 generation, and it was actually a pretty cool little strategy game. Had some strategy RPG elements, not dissimilar to Advance Wars, I think would be the one I'd compare it most to, with these sort of block units on a grid that features a very simplified, stripped-down idea of strategy, but one that's also very easy to get to grips with and still has a level of depth that pleases more hardcore fans of strategy. It was one of those sort of every-person strategy games. The kind I like, because I'm terrible at strategy games that mean you have to, like, think a lot. I can think a bit. I can tell person to go to place and hit the thing. Anything more than that, thinking several steps ahead, can't do that. But anyway, I really like the Dynasty Tactics games. I think there were two. Mostly because it was a game about positioning more than anything else. Because not only did you have to position your moves, the moves they had moved them around and moved enemies around. So if you had a unit that could charge, they might charge forward in a straight line and their attack would end wherever they were, wherever they charged to. And that could push the enemies, and you could push them to chain them up into special, like, positions so that you could get other units, like allied units, to attack them and perform these big combo moves. So it was all about pushing the battlefield into just the right position you want and then unleashing hell. At least as far as I can remember. I'm going off rote memory here back from when I played it in the PS2 era, so I could be misremembering, but it was my big takeaway from it was a game of mostly about pushing stuff about, but in a kind of clever way. This isn't. This is Dynasty Tactics stripped down. I think it's safe to say, I think it's fair to say, it's been stripped down. This is one match. I've got one mission for you that I'm showing, one battle, which lasted like the full PS share allotment. I pre-recorded this on the PS4. Not on PC, by the way, for those of you who get upset when I feature console games and don't mention that. As near as I can tell, it's not. It might be on PC, actually. I'm going to check right now for you, just because I am committed to giving you the most amount of information I can when I remember to do it. Okay. And tying into that commitment, I can tell you it's not there. It's not there. So this is console, so for those of you who for some reason are here for purchasing advice, apparently some of you watch these videos for that, and you don't have a console, then, you know, I'm going to turn it off, I guess. But for the rest of you, let's talk about the game, which you're seeing being played here. So as you can see, turn-based combat, moving units about, putting them near, you know, within attack range, doing attacks. You can, let's see, the only real thing that separates this from anything else is the synchronization, which you can do, which I might be doing now. Synchronization, basically, you build up a meter. There's this sort of circular, pointed, starry thing in the top center of the screen. That fills up as you do moves, and when it's filled up, you can activate synchronization. Any allied units within a certain radius can attack at the same time as you and get another chance to move, and then you can perform some big devastating attack on whatever unit you want. So it's basically just a big all-out attack that you want to try and get as many of your allies involved with as possible. Outside of that, it's so far, and I am early days with it, I've not played it to a huge degree just yet. This is synchro mode, by the way, so I'll get back to what I was saying. We'll just look at this. I was just trying to work out the best way. I was trying to make this more useful. I could only really get one person. Because usefully, it tells you who's gonna die? As you can see, we've got 3 units here KO'd, so dropping it there would be a waste of time. Really, the only worthwhile one getting was 1 person. But anyway, here are the attacks happening in sync, blah blah blah. Guan Yu doing his thing, this new character whose name I've forgotten doing his thing. There's no actual Dynasty Warriors combat. There's no hack and slash, it's pure tactics. This is synchro. There is some button mashing. You see there, you just button mash and you can get a bonus to your damage, or 40% filled out the bar. And that's a sync attack. And then outside of that, it is placing your units within attack range, and then just trading damage. Which is fine, but the whole thing looks like it should be like a $5 small game on, you know, the PlayStation Store or on mobile even. There's just not much to it right now. It's a little bit dull. It's competent, and it's what's the word? It's not fun. This sounds really bad. It's not hugely entertaining. It takes up some time, and there are worse ways to spend your time. But so far, that's about the best I've got to say about it. Maybe I'll have more to say as I play more, but my initial impression, my initial reaction is just, it's alright. It's okay if you like that sort of thing, but, you know, if you like tactics games, you can find way better tactics games, way better tactical RPGs out there than this. And if you like Dynasty Warriors, you are probably going to be best off playing a better Dynasty Warriors game. Frankly, I don't know why they did this. I mean, clearly they're doing the thing that they usually do at Tecmo Koei, and taking the character models from the last main Dynasty Warriors game and seeing how many Dynasty Warriors games they can turn that into. It's sort of like a self-cannibalizing asset flip. That's something Tecmo Koei tend to do a fair bit while they're busy not localizing their games. And it's gotten beyond a joke with some of that. But since they do like to reuse their assets, I don't know why they didn't just remaster Dynasty Tactics. Just give that a new coat of paint and whack that up. It probably would have taken less work, because the game's already made. They don't have to design anything. Just gloss that up and pop it on. I'd much rather play Dynasty Tactics than this. And again, this isn't bad, this isn't dreadful. I mean, when I do the review, I mean, right now, maybe a 6. You know, it's not bad. I would say it's a step above mediocre. It's not like I'm super bored when I'm playing it. I'm just like, I am playing a game now when I play it. And I am, you know, taking up some time in the afternoon. Which is fine. Games can exist for that purpose, but I'm just sort of counting the days till a proper good Dynasty Warriors game comes out again, because I haven't been properly grabbed by Dynasty Warriors in a while. In terms of mainline Dynasty Warriors games, it was Dynasty Warriors Extreme Legends right at the dawn, I should say, of the PS4. So way back then, a couple of years back. The last just Warriors in general game would have been Hyrule Warriors, whichever there was a subtitle for the 3DS one, but both of them count. They're both more or less the same game. But Hyrule Warriors, which was fan-bloody-tastic. And I'm looking forward to Berserk, the Band of the Hawk game that's coming out. Berserk is not something I'm fully versed in. I'm just skipping enemy moves here. Thank Christ you can do that, otherwise this would have gone on way longer. I'll say one thing, just a single battle can go on long enough. So this game will definitely take up time if you can't stand being alone with your own thoughts. But yeah, I am looking forward to Berserk, and really looking forward to Dynasty Warriors 9, if only to see how the hell they're making that open world. Now, you'll know what I think about open world games by now. I'm not inherently against them, but I cannot say I've been pleased with a lot of them lately. The ones that go open world just for the sake of being open world, and just have big empty maps and they fill it with arbitrary recycled garbage. Well, I did a whole Jimquisition on that. And Dynasty Warriors being what it is, you know, big maps with battles going on. And they haven't really shown much about that, because they're just talking about it conceptually right now. So we've not really seen how that looks in action as an open world game. So I'm very intrigued. Not 100% against the idea, but I do like my Dynasty Warriors games familiar. I do like them familiar. I'm like a Madden fan, but just for Dynasty Warriors, you know. And of course the series gets a lot of stick for having released so many games, having so many sequels, being so very similar, you know. Some people even consider me maybe a bit hypocritical for liking Dynasty Warriors and railing on a lot of other games, but just like how I liked the Call of Duty games longer than most other people, I feel so long as you're not being topped in your particular genre, in the particular thing you're doing, if no one's doing it better, and you're still providing quality, fun, engaging experiences, then I tend to not rail on that too much. And so far, there have been contenders. You know, Sengoku Basara finally turned into a pretty decent series, and there are some other hack and slash games, but nothing gets me quite like Dynasty Warriors still gets me going. A new Dynasty Warriors is always still exciting to me, and I can't give anyone who's skeptical about that, I can't give them particularly satisfying thoughts on that. But to me, I guess I see the differences in each game. I see where they've changed the combat system, even though a lot of people consider it just a mash X to win game. I feel there's more to it than that. But, you know, I guess that comes from having played the games for as long and as in-depth as I have. But that's just me. I consider them varied, and at least each mainline one. Some people would say the Empire's spin-offs are the ones to pay most attention to. To me, it's always just the main numbered ones are always fresh and overhauled enough to always get my attention. The various spin-offs, they have varying degrees of success. Empires, Extreme Legends, Godseekers, this more or less is a spin-off since it's using all the same assets from 8. As far as I can tell, they all look the same anyway, to the same character models and everything. And the big numbered ones is normally when they overhaul everything. The assets change out, they redesign the characters. They often revoice them, although they've stopped doing that lately. And the redesigns haven't been as dramatic, which, again, it's sort of making me less and less pleased with the series as it goes on. Because my main issue with them doing so many spin-offs, and some of them really not being good lately, and some of the really bad localization, or none at all. You know, they don't bother putting English voices on, which for a game like Dynasty Warriors, where you're trying to concentrate on the action on the screen and listen to reports of when units are in trouble and might need your help, I don't want to sit there reading while I'm also trying to hack and slash. It just doesn't work. And a series that already gets accused of not being very creatively energetic or putting in effort, however fair or unfair you might think that is, the last thing they need to do is start cutting corners. But for the past few years, they have been cutting corners with their releases more and more, which I think is just the opposite thing they need to do. Maybe the open world thing's their opportunity to give that a shot in the arm. And I realise I've spent most of this video talking just about Dynasty Warriors in general, but, you know, fans of my work will know that that's a series that I do think about a lot, and I could talk about for way longer than this video is giving me time to do. Or at least I've given myself the time to do with the video length I've allotted myself, which I'm now wasting by just talking about video length. Suffice to say, Dynasty Warriors Godseekers is okay. And that really is all I've got to say.